Hi everyone, just before we get started, I want to remind you that I have a 100% money back guarantee on all of my free videos. And the number of people that have asked for their money back? 0. Hi everyone, Kelsey from beabetterguide.com. Today we're talking refunds. I've got 2 stories to share and 1 rule when it comes to refunds. First up story. Last week I had to rent a car and I did it for Budget Enterprises. And I was considering not mentioning their name in this example, but they screwed up so bad that they deserve to be mentioned. The problem was not with my reservation, but when we were at the checkout desk, next to us, there was a man who was very upset. He was returning a car, I think, an hour or 2 late, but they were charging him 3 or 4 hours late. And whatever the reason was, there was some sort of miscommunication, misunderstanding between the booking, but this guy was livid. I mean, he was screaming, yelling. We've all been in that situation where you're just kind of like, oh, God, and you feel for that person behind the counter. But here's what was happening. The person behind the counter was not giving in. They were saying, actually, sir, this is our policy. It says here in the form, you checked out the car at this time. That means that we need to charge this much. He was really sort of towing the line on the policy. But the man was extremely upset and was saying, no, I checked it out at this time. I was given an extension. Who knows what the actual circumstance was, but I was watching Budget just blow this situation. Honestly, this guy is now going to become a one-man anti-PR show, and he's going to take it on the road. Like, he is the anti-budget guy probably for the rest of his life. So if you start thinking about that, like, this guy is going to tell, for one, never, ever, 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 ever probably use Budget again, which is fine, a loss of 1 customer. But 2, he'll probably tell all of his friends and families and any chance he can get about how the people at Budget are crooks. And thirdly, he might even get motivated and go online and start posting about his terrible experience. So that's why I'm going to give you this golden rule for you to consider when it comes to refunds. Good. Here it is. If a client wants a refund on one of your tours or experiences, no matter what the reason, no matter how stupid, or even if they're a jerk, give it to them. I'll repeat that again. If a client of yours at any time wants a refund, no matter what the reason is, give them the refund. That's the rule. It's one of the hardest things to do as a tour guide or more of a business operator, I guess, especially if you're running your own tours or an independent guide, to give refunds to somebody who's being a total jerkwad. Basically what it boils down to. It's easy to give refunds to people when you're at fault. Say you screw something up or, for some reason the tour couldn't happen like you sold it to them. Then yeah, you can offer those refunds. But I'm talking especially about cases where the person is just an entitled jerk. It's clearly their fault. You didn't screw up. You sent them all the emails, all of your cancellation policy, all of your whatever policy was on the website and they didn't read it. But here's the thing. This is going to take a hit to your pride, but you have to wrap your head around the bottom line. And the bottom line is that those entitled jerkwads probably, most definitely, have a TripAdvisor account. They may even have a Yelp account, and they may even be motivated to make your life pretty miserable. And they may not even be that vindictive. They'll just go on and express their opinion of what happened publicly, which can then stay with you for the next 5 to 10 years. You don't have to search far in the tourism and hospitality world to know how much those negative reviews can really affect your business. The other thing you want to think about too is these aren't necessarily just extreme situations. Say you find out someone has come on one of your tours and there's a misunderstanding. So something that maybe you charge extra for, they just thought was included in the tour. Maybe it's like an extra hour of the tour, you can do this, but they had to pay more. But they were pretty disappointed. They said, oh, that's the reason we picked you, because we thought that was included. That is a great example of a time where you should just give them that, side with the client, right? The customer is right, because that's going to prevent that, 3-star, whatever, that sort of mediocre review too, because it's going to be a moment to shine instead of a moment where they're like, I went on this tour, but it wasn't really clear and I had to pay more. The guide was great, but I was a little disappointed in that communication. Could be your review versus, so-and-so was wonderful. I screwed up and didn't know that I had to pay extra for that, and he gave it to me for free anyway. Highly recommend him. This one is about United, and it's got a nice hometown connection. I was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and a musician traveling with his band, and he flew from Halifax to Chicago in United Airlines. And basically they broke his guitar. You know, he had a nice Taylor guitar, the band was traveling, and he said it was their fault, you know, it was in a hard case. So he went back and forth with them. Sure enough, they came back and said, we're just not liable for your instruments. You know, you signed the waiver, or, you know, when you buy the ticket, you agree to our terms. And he says, all right, fine. If you are not going to replace my guitar, I'm going to write 3 songs about how terrible your airline is, and then I'm going to put them out on the internet. So his first song was called United Breaks Guitars, and it was all about basically his frustrations with the airline and how poorly they managed him as a customer. And it went viral. Sure enough, you know, at 5 million, 6 million views, suddenly he's on CNN. He's being picked up by all the major newscasters across North America, talking about his terrible experience with United Breaks Guitars. So sure enough, as soon as that video goes viral, the upper management United comes to him and says, oh, look, we're really sorry. You know, we want to replace the guitar. Here's the money for it. And he says, no, it's actually too late for that. You know, he publicly said, here's the charity where I'd like you to donate that money. I'm going to go work on my other 2 songs. In the comments below, let me know what you think. Do you have this kind of refund policy? And more importantly, how do you communicate it down, say if you're managing guides? You've got to make sure that all of your guides know that policy. I'm interested to hear how you do it. Thanks so much for being here.
I've heard all your excuses, and I've chased your wild gooses, and this attitude of yours I say must go.